and it was only a couple of months after the wedding that we had to let him go. But I mean, I think he had amazing moments towards the end, which made me even stronger than I thought I'd ever realise when less than a year later I got diagnosed with brain cancer. What I had instead of having a drill to get into the temporal lobe, which is the second one back, which involves language and memories, which is very frustrating when you go through something like that. But I'll pull into the actual life hits in a minute.
Welcome back to Grow Your Dreams podcast. I'm happy to introduce to you today this new series called Women of Valor. These are stories of women who have overcome great challenges, who are going after their dreams, and despite having many obstacles, they keep on going. The heart behind this series is to encourage you through other real life stories of women who are basically kicking butt. I don't think I'm allowed to say the A word on here if there's children listening, but basically they're kicking butt with just their resiliency and moving forward in life despite hardship. So enjoy this episode, but before you enjoy it, please will you like, subscribe and share if you are watching on YouTube, if you are listening in somewhere on a podcast platform, please will you leave a review and potentially make it the 5 stars wherever you're listening. Even if it's not 5 stars, be honest, just leave a review because it would really help this podcast grow. And I would love to see Grow Your Dreams podcast grow this year, because the more people that can be encouraged and inspired by these stories and episodes, then the more the merrier. That's what I say. So enjoy this episode.
Behind me.
I'm good. It's finally we got here.
Yes, I'm just making sure I am not in the most perfect room. So if we have any glitches and stuff, in the next few minutes, I can go switch. But it was okay yesterday.
Well, you look gorgeous. It is a little bit glitchy.
Let's try another room. I could go on the sofa in the other room.
Okay, shall we try that?
Or maybe in the kitchen. Let's have a go. So yeah, little things like this, because this is my study, which annoyingly is the one room, or one of the rooms, one of the Cornish rooms that doesn't get, let's see how messy the kitchen is. Not too messy.
I guess you're all the way down in Cornwall. Is the internet not so great down there?
No, it's literally, if you're in a dip, that's it. Like, that is it.
Yeah. How have you been since I spoke to you probably like a month or so ago, huh?
Yeah, it's been ages because you were over in Switzerland, weren't you? Sorry, just closing the doors and stuff.
Yes. Yeah, that's good.
Get a little bit of kitchen as well. Kitchenware.
Lovely.
Oh, I forgot my
and that's perfect. That's the perfect setting.
There you go. I'm surrounded literally by plants at the moment. I'm doing a bit of and peanut butter on a stick because I had my friend with her baby come over earlier, trying to make the puppy happy.
Oh.
There you go.
Have you been very busy this week with work?
Yeah, writing the cookbook and everything. And God, there's just been so much on. You know, when it's just been such a swell, you can't even remember a thing. And I'm prepping to do a collab with a surf retreat thing because I'm doing all the food for it just so that we can show it off and do some photos for the book that's coming up. So it's just like, woo!
Wow.
Yeah.
You go, girl. It's awesome.
How have you been?
I'm well, thank you. I'm happy to be in Bournemouth, back by the sea.
Yeah.
I'm going to do another little trip tonight. Actually, I'm leaving. I'm going to drive to the French Alps this time.
C'est sur mon parfait. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah, just for a couple of weeks. I just thought just to do a little bit more snowboarding for the last time this winter.
God.
So
if only I had that Laura,
I have some friends that I get to stay with for free, so it makes it affordable.
Yeah, I think that's one of those moments that your friends dispersing is heaven. You just suddenly like, okay, Australia, I'll go to Hawaii, I will bounce to that place in America that you've moved to, which is probably a state or two down to that I've ever been to. All of that kind of stuff. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah, as
Aw. Well, it's wonderful to have you here, Freya. Thank you so
was a
much. I'm
pleasure.
so looking forward to our chat.
Yeah, well, you're welcome to start it whenever you like. I was just really wanting to just make sure the setup was
Yes.
good and that we were on the same wave and I wasn't fluster
Yes.
running around. That is me normally.
Yes, okay. So we're all good to start
Yeah,
then. I think we'll start off with you introducing who you are. So somebody who's never met you before, and we're slowly gonna bring them into your story, and at the end encourage them with your story. So if you start telling us who you are, where you live, what you enjoy doing in life, and what do you do? Tell us about Wholesome World.
So, welcome to Freya and Wholesome World. Wholesome World is a little thing that I made down here in Cornwall, where I grew up. Well, born in London, but grew up in Cornwall. And I absolutely love the environmental change. And one of the triggers for making Wholesome World is kind of realizing what's around you, where your food comes from. You've got farms all around you, you've got open air, and you're swamped by beautiful nature. And I actually had a degree in environmental and biological sciences, followed by law. And that kind of bringing all of those together is where I kind of see the seeds of making Wholesome World app. And Wholesome World for me was kind of trying to enhance your health through being at home. And the most easy step to do for that, not the most strong necessarily, but every single moment that you do is strong. And food is the easiest. It can be a little snack, it could be something you've made for a month, like granola, which is up there somewhere. And anything you like, you can just feel satiated by a little touch. And then it's backed up by physical health, mental health, both emotional and research wise. So that's kind of me and what I focus on, other than running around the coastline. And I just love it this way.
And so let's go into your story. What if you take us back to kind of your personal story and what eventually led to starting Wholesome World, because I know you've got a very personal story and a painful story, and I'm so grateful that you're here and that you can share it with us. And I know there'll be a lot of people that can relate. Maybe not to the specifics of your journey, but yeah, through the struggle. So if you take us back and walk us through your journey.
Well, I mean, thinking about my past, I loved traveling. I loved being outdoors. I was so lucky to have that marine biology in my life, and all that research, which made me hop around islands. And then doing the law, doing the same thing, just seeing the different worldly research and but into the law industry and the governmental stuff. And I think that on one of my island hops home to try and do a bit more research, I met a lovely man, a rugged man on a middle of an island in the middle of nowhere, um, kind of circuiting around Bali, and yeah, we fell in love. Turned out he lived in Germany, even though he sounded Australian, kind of thing, where he grew up. And so we ended up to be just around the corner from each other. And shortly into our relationship, we found out that he had cancer. He'd actually had it before, which is not kind of public knowledge, but he'd had it before, thought he was all good, seemed very good in my perspective. And then he re-had it again, and it was synovial sarcoma. So that is a really rare type of cancer that goes very quickly through its growth in your system. So normally people actually have heavy surgery, as in limbs removed and that sort of thing. And by synovial sarcoma, it's in your synovial fluid. So it's not attached to something, it's just in the middle of anything, and it can get attached really quickly. And so he had his in the abdomen, so you can't really remove things that easily from there. And he actually went through 4 or 5 rounds, and every time I think we thought he was better than ever. And he was amazing. And we got married in Cornwall a few years later, and it was only a couple of months after the wedding that we had to let him go. But I mean, I think he had amazing moments towards the end, which made me even stronger than I thought I'd ever realize when less than a year later I got diagnosed with brain cancer. Um, so yeah, it was crazy. I mean, I'd done science, law, marketing to pull me through all of that, and I had the actual personal experience as well, emotional experience, seeing it from the outside, so knowing potentially how my friends and family were dealing with things, and very, very jealous the whole way through that he had someone within arm's length, like a partner to lean on, amongst your
Yeah.
other amazing family and friends. So I had like waves of everything, but I also had the research of everything. I'd had the lifestyle of everything. And I think one of the luckiest things that I had was all of that, plus seeing him come back from such low pits of cancer hits and treatment, and just climb a mountain the next month and stuff like that. He was so strong, and he made me
Wow.
realize that the bottom is not where you think, and you can save yourself. And hopefully, every little thing can help. Just find what you can satiate your mind and your body, and hopefully your medicine understanding with. And I thought that the nicest way to show that off, or not show that off, to give a foundation for this kind of understanding to people that were new in this world of cancer, or just looking at their health, or wanting to find a step to start on to avoid things like cancer, maintaining their general health, I throw it out together. And instead of it being science and reading small print and trying to find the right book or go on Google and wonder what is the actual authenticated piece, I thought I'd do something that, with my history, would connect with scientists, would be authorized through the NHS, which would be done within the EU digital medicinal platforms, strongly reviewed, but beautiful and simple to start with. So it's just flushed with recipes, front of house. We've got some nice little lifestyle insights as well as to how you can be helped with for mental health and nutritional health behind the recipes, or interlaced with them as well, and then physical health too, all those benefits, with strong links to free access to medicinal papers, which is a nice version of Google, as in which one's the most public or popular, or both, involving the most authentication from reviewers, be them scientific, and things like TED Talks as well, which is one of my favorite things. I remember going into my operation, I was just watching this beautiful story about a ballerina who reclung her mental and physical health together by putting her emotion into it rather than someone else's form of the dance and the moves. And it was really beautiful. And there's so many different aspects to make you realize what you can do at home to make yourself
Mm.
satisfied and not stressed.
So with your wow, it's just so much that that you've been through. It's incredible, and that you here, speaking with me now is just. I know you have got a lot of wisdom and insight to share, because you've been, first of all, through that really hard
Yeah,
journey of with your loved one, and
I think
then
so.
you experiencing it yourself. So if we go to maybe chat about your your mental health and emotional health when you were caring for your partner, were there, I guess that it was all very new. You were just beginning this journey of understanding cancer and how to handle it. Like,
Mhm.
how can you talk us through a bit more, like how that played out in your life, like with your mental health and emotional?
I think there's such different worlds that I went through. The first one I almost see as harder, because in the second wave, you can decide what you want. And in the first wave, be it someone as a friend, a family member, a lover, you care so much. And, trying to define what they want, whether it's like space, sleep, extra love, tasks, simple little tasks that you don't really ask for someone, it makes you feel really different and lower in your own vision than in reality, because people want to help just a tiny bit. It's almost like a wedding list or something like that. My friend just came over for talking about her wedding, and you go and you don't want to give people just random things as the presents. That's kind of why sometimes if you can't think of what to get them, you have a wedding list, and that's kind of a simple structure for just feeling satiated, and that you tick something off to be an extra help, and then you can actually just chill and feel that you've done it. And that's as an outsider, to be with someone that's going through so much. And I think the biggest, hardest piece for him was just being able to tell people he wanted to sleep or he needed space.
Wow.
And speaking about the weddings as well, if you look at how many people you invite to a wedding, or that sudden swamp of people who are amazing and you care for, but you haven't spoken to that often here and there. And that's the same if you go through an extreme issue or health issue. So it's a lot of people to deal with, and you want to say thank you at the very least, but that's still slightly exhausting. So as I said, like, me being there was an amazing piece. So if there's someone that doesn't have anyone there, it is tough. And I really love that he went to these random little group meetings while he was trying to experiment some of the mental and physical health pieces, which was really inspiring for me as well, such as going to Buddha groups and doing the meditation and just trying to explore as to what kind of physical health he could do, be it cycling with a few friends. It's just suddenly opening that door for them as well. So yeah, really, really interesting. I loved.
And then, yes. And then so how long after did you say it was? So he passed away.
Yeah.
And then how much longer after did you get your diagnosis?
So he passed away, I think it was November, day after Guy Fawkes night. It's crazy that I still remember that. And then it's that little reminder, you get a mountain of fireworks, and then you're like, wow, that's been a year. So weirdly, it's quite lovely. It's like a little thing going, whew, remember this, whew.
Wow.
And so then it was approximately a year after. So that was 2014. And then I got my startup of the diagnostic a year later. Yeah. And then surgery was about 6 months after that.
And how did the surgery affect you? Because I think, did you mention it affected some of your memory?
A lot of it, yes. So actually, I've really recently, just for a few photo shoots to go in the book that I'm writing at the moment, the cookbook, I've done this little piece just so that you can see the scar line, which I think you can there.
Yes.
As to how to get into the temporal lobe. And I might get a bit too disgraceful, but so what happened was, here in the connection between your skull and your jawbone, what I had, instead of having a drill to get into the temporal lobe, which is the second one back, which involves language and memories, which is very frustrating when you go through something like that. But I'll pull into the actual life hits in a minute. So I had the joint dispersed, and so they went in there, pulled the face back a little bit. Sorry if this is too much, and opened the door.
No, you go ahead.
So cool. I'm sorry, that just is like tick. So he went in that mannerism to be such an amazing surgeon, and he took about 110% of the infected area to make sure that there's hope that there's as much possible with any random dispersal of cancer cells. overflow to be removed to hopefully enhance the fact that it might not come back. So fingers crossed on that, and I get a test every 6 months, an MRI. And then this is a bit of my forgetfulness. I can't remember the full of your opening query.
And that's absolutely fine. So it was actually, that's a very good example right there, because it was about how have you been affected by the operation. So you chatted about memory, and how is this affecting you on like a daily basis with your
Goodness
memory?
me, I'm definitely a lot better. When I first came out of the operation, I couldn't remember my parents' names. I can't remember. Everyone jokes about it, but I can't even remember the joke. So I kind of give a giggle every time, which is brilliant for everyone. They like Christmas cracker jokes, perfect. I'm like, oh, really? Goodness me. But I lost my memory of nouns as such and memories, and so where things were, my mother's name, what the name of a table, a chair, or anything is. I It's trying to skirt. It's trying to do one of those word games where it's not. So here you go. The where you act out what you want to say, and then you.
Is that charade?
Yeah,
I've even forgotten
charades.
it.
Nice. You see, you're
Yeah.
ahead of the game. I think I
Yes.
was about 10 years behind you then. And then with that, you do the acting ones. No, that's the acting one. And then you do the description one to try and find the word, and you're not allowed to say the words. So if it's like a duck, you go something with a beak that makes a loud noise with its mouth. But then if you can't remember nouns, then you can't say beak or mouth or whatever it was. I can't remember. But it's been many years now. So that was in 2016, and I couldn't do anything. I basically, my friends who have children, I would sit with them instead. Anyone that was just like, I'm not sure if this date went well, I'd just be like, ask the question, yes or no would be great. Whereas now you actually understand that a little bit of emotion and this and that, you can't, there's a grey area between black and white. And I had a beautiful, amazing, thank you, Ryan, set of cards made, which is top trumps of my friends and family. So it had their name, their age. You'd be like, am I the oldest? Or something like that. And like how long I'd known them, how many holidays I'd been on with them throughout my life, stuff like that. And that was a really nice little thing that I could just play, and I'd be like, yeah, no, that one's name was this. Okay, sweet.
Has your memory developed? Has it got a bit better then now?
Definitely.
Definitely. Yeah.
I think that where I'm at the moment is I talk through Wholesome World a lot. So that is one of my primary memories. Whereas a lot of the things I've only touched here and there have developed to become, it's almost like I'm going into a new country where I haven't done the language before, or I did it at pre-primary school or something like that. I know that that's not the word that someone's saying. Like if they say, my name is Bob, and you're like, no, it's got 2 syllables and starts with an R, Rufus or something. But you won't know the actual name until someone says it out loud. It's like when you go to the restaurant and someone says, would you like this? And you're like, yes. Whereas if you're trying to say, do you have this? Not going to happen. And I'm still a bit like that.
Wow.
But like, as I said, a beautiful friend, Genevieve, came earlier with her daughter, and I'm there trying to remember the daughter's name because I don't say it that often. And she's new. So, and amazing. But it's very awkward. And back in the day when you'd go for a walk or a coffee, or everyone else would be drinking and I'd just be standing there with some water, you'd meet a new friend of a friend or something, and then you'd ask their name about 300 times. You'd be like, excuse me? Excuse me? Oh, lady in a blue shirt.
Oh, and then I guess it's the thing of when people don't know your story, then they can assume anything or take it very personally, I guess.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's a lot of different nuances to kind of navigate with the memory
Yeah,
thing,
I
huh?
have to say, trying
Wow.
to re-establish into a work field, and it's really good that I've opened this project personally, because it means that I can really spread the time when I have the head in the right place to manage it, and I can take breaks when I need to, because I've delightfully saved myself for you today. Otherwise, I'll be there saying, I think there was a funny thing in one of the last meetings that I went to with a doctor when I was very tired, and I was there going. He goes like, how's things been for you? Eating, sleeping, this, that, the other. And I was talking about in the evening, trying to get into bed and whatnot. And I was there going, yes, I've had great food lately when it's reminded me that I might be hungry. And then when I go upstairs, into bed, all I'm doing is trying for the greatest sex. And I mean, I try all the time, and then sometimes it just happens, and I mean, mostly it happens every night, but mostly it's far too fast, and I'm just up the rest of the night stressing out, and then sometimes, like at least twice a week, I have really, really, good long sex. And halfway through the meeting, I was there going, "Oh my God, one syllable, begins with an S, sleep." Because I see him going better every time I say it. It was awful, but I'm sure that happens
Oh,
far more often, but a bit less noticeable. But there you
but
go.
you've definitely got some very funny stories, which
Yeah.
are quite delightful. But let's talk about your desire. I know when we chatted on the phone, you chatted about wanting, if you'll remember,
Yeah.
is the desire to help people kind of normalize or not be so afraid of the cancer word.
Yeah. I that is a really strong thing that I have in my mind right now. I stumbled across in a library near my parents' house where I used to live. The closest library to me still now. I mean, Cornwall's not that thoroughly loaded with them. Um, but I stumbled in there and I found this sign up saying that there was a brain cancer charity group happening in a couple of hours. So I stayed there, managed to actually read some things, couldn't watch television, read books or anything back in the day, reading little bits of poetry. Stumbled into the group and they were just so welcoming. And suddenly the talk about cancer became normal. Everyone else was doing it. And your problem wasn't suddenly this big secret smoggy thing that is like nervous to talk about. It was suddenly big, nice, and normal. And you look at the stats these days, and I think when I was younger in the teens, younger, it was 1 in 4 people that had a potential of a type of cancer, let alone like light to heavy cancers. And then nowadays, it's really sad to say that it's 1 in 2 people, which to
Wow,
me,
it's crazy.
yeah, I mean, throughout that experience of life, I mean, the research that's happened is so strong, and it's still going on, and like coming up with so many different types of medicine, holistic therapies, everything like this. But normality, it's not there. And that's one thing that I just want people to realize, that when they are there, it is not weird. As horrible as that sounds, you've just got to realize that there's so many people in the world that are there, and cancer health is general health. Um, and that's a really big thing that I want people to realize. It's not this shady, spiky area of life, because there's so many more in the world. There's so many things that people have to go through, be it diabetes, be it COVID, be it it's normal. It's kind of thinking back to the 80s when depression wasn't normal, and people are now
Mm.
so beautifully open and know where to go and how to deal with things like that. days, and therapy is good, that it's normal. Hidden versions of yourself, it's really hard to even crack the door or know where the path is. And that's something that I just wanted to open the door for people.
And that's a beautiful thing to come out of your journey, is, you know, being able to turn back and open the door and show other people a path. And,
Yeah.
you know, your journey is, and, you know, you've been through loss, and then you've had to face your own personal health. And so it's not just, do you know what I mean? It's quite weighty what you've been through, and I just think that you would have some wisdom for people who have either been through a loss, you know, losing a loved one, or the loss of, you know, what was once health, and then having to battle, you know. So I guess my question is, if there is someone, you know, going through, let's do two questions. First, the loss of a loved one. I know I lost my brother last year, and I found that there wasn't much space for grief in our culture. And I don't know, like an unspoken pressure of like, okay, quickly move past this and, you know, get on with life and enjoy life. And I don't know what your experience has been like with the loss of a loved one, but it's almost, I kind of felt that had a bit of a dark, shady topic that, you know, people wouldn't bring up or mention to me, or like, hey, how are you doing? It would just be complete, you know, a no-go area, but actually like, oh wow, I'm carrying this hectic thing and nobody even wants to know.
Yeah, it's such a heavy thing for you to have been through that, and I'm really sorry to hear that. It's just, it's just like this realm of mess, isn't it? And I think one of the nicest thing to do is to corrupt your thinking about what you could have done in hindsight. I think that is something that the person would never look at or judge you for. And they just, I remember when Lars passed away, it was whilst I was having a cup of tea with two friends and my mother. And one walked in and I just felt the aura of something in the house. And I went in there and it was just like, it's the most weird moment, I think, of my life, just being like, God, body, soul, this, that, how is this combination depleted? Where is the soul? What's going on? And you have to, I think what I did personally was I just turned off. I distracted myself for about a year or two with as many different things to make me ignore it. And I don't mean completely ignore it. There we had like some beautiful moments where his friends and family came together to see him, to say goodbye to him, and let go of the ashes over the ocean and things like that. And so that was a moment. But then I'd say for ages, so long, I just tried to colour out of my head, because every single day I'd wake up and wonder why I got 2 cups out of the cupboard for a cuppa in the morning and things like that. And so it kicks in. So I was trying to swamp that with distractions, be it working early and late, be it going for runs consistently, jumping in the surf, making dinner, looking after friends' kids, doing this, that, the other, going out. And so there was no moment to overwhelm yourself, because otherwise you're seeing people move on and you're putting yourself, I felt like I would be putting myself, like trying to dig out some emotion that I didn't know where it was or what it would be. I kept saying,
it's okay.
It it's a route you don't know. Whereas if you go to school or uni or same thing, or to coffee, just to go and get coffee, you're like, go and get one. Sit down with your friend, have a nice little chat, drink up, get up, go. Anything, weddings, like that, meeting someone new, how are they, learn about this. Whew. Losing someone and trying to think about them enough, trying to not think about them so you've got a normal life. It's
Yeah.
so difficult. And then
Yes.
I think I blanked it out for so long that by the time I got there, everyone else thought I was over it. And so
Hmm.
I tried to go and see a mental therapist twice throughout that first year or so, and they did not match me. So
Okay. Yes, that's a thing.
yeah,
That's a definite thing. Like, it doesn't, if you go see a therapist, it doesn't mean they're the right one for
yeah.
you.
I think that I saw this
Mm.
amazing woman um, after I had my cancer, about a year or two after. And I was just like, oh my God, it's just like meeting one of my friends and she already knows everything. I'm not just
Mm.
getting a lovely call, and 6 months later I'll be like, this thing has happened. And where's the string of things that connect them because my memory's awful?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
actually having a therapist means that you know you're going to see one. You can vent whatever you like, and that is again one of the strongest steps. And I think opening the door to that cancer charity connection, um, I think it's brain tumor charity, which was really good. Who gave they gave me so much stuff like finance understanding, legal understanding, science and medical understanding. Whether how to get me driving a car again, even though there was no issue. I was banned for like 4 or 5 years, and I was lived in a tiny little village where there was one bus out every day. Mental. Um, no possibility to chase surf anywhere. And
God,
yeah,
yeah.
so it's just I think a therapist is if you find the right soul and keep trying. That was my number 4. Keep trying. It is
Yes.
such a good base layer. It's like your foundation again for understanding yourself, because they will refuel you. And instead of, in a relationship or something, you have all those little nuggets that pile up and then an argument about nothing. That's where you let them go. And
Yes.
your mind
Yes. I definitely
flood
want
out.
to, yeah, kind of back that point up. When I've had counseling and seeing a therapist now as well, just to deal with my grief and different things, and just to help process it. But the one that I found now, she wasn't the first one. And there was this expectation for me as well. Okay, so the first one, that needs to be the person. That's going to be the person that I click with. I don't know
Yeah.
where I got that idea from, but then I had to like let that go and be like, okay, now I just need to search and look out for the one that's going to fit well with my
Mm,
journey.
mm.
So yeah, I'm so glad that you said that, because that's a very important point, and just the
Yeah,
importance of having that mental health relational support of someone to
massively.
be able to talk through everything with.
Massively. I was talking to Falmouth University connections this week as well, and there's this really beautiful thing. I used to, when Lars was sick, for example, I would meditate. He would meditate, as I said, with Buddhists and a million other kind of paths as well. You try and let your head just calm down.
Mm,
Just restart,
mm,
resets. You need that, I think, every day. And when he was
yes.
sick, I would do it on the beach. I'd probably sit there and just feel the surroundings and just turn off and restart. And then when he passed away, nope. As I said, I was running around like a mad woman, and I still can't do it properly these days. I do a little bit once in a blue moon of the sleep meditation, which is about 1 minute and I'm gone, which is brilliant. um, but I found that so hard. So I brought up just a second ago music meditation, and so on the app and on Wholesome World website, there's a playlist from Spotify that I've slowly dribbled together since it happened. And it was so mellow, and it was when I was stuck in bed, not knowing even what the difference was between hunger, tiredness, needing the bathroom. There were so many glitches, and I wanted something to focus on because I didn't want it kind of like forcing me to go through all the emotions that I'd been hit by. And I put on some music to kind of be the outlet of that emotion, just to kind of like ease it, like process it a little bit, but not too much. So that was one of the ways that it happened. And with the university that I'm talking to at the moment, they're saying about the different moods, the different personalities, and it's really strong for your mental health. Releasing it's kind of like a step towards a therapist and that kind of thing, just making yourself ease and let things go through it, and you interpret songs lyrics differently, and the different types of instrument make a big difference. I think I was looking at actually consumption of food compared to nutrients, and that's a really quirky one as well, because if you are listening, I can't remember which one it is, I think it's brass. If you're listening brass instruments, then you will consume more coffee and caffeine in a coffee shop, like you'll stay for another one. Whereas if you're listening to piano, much less so. It's really weird, isn't it?
Interesting.
There's so many things. It makes your
Yeah.
body go, yes, this is great. I want more. And so I'm sure that everyone's still different, as I don't know the science behind that properly. But there are so many different variations for that particular one, and it makes me think of the Rolling Stones back in the day when they couldn't get any mental therapy, as I was talking about earlier, and then music came through like that. And yeah, there are so many different platforms, and in mental health you're looking at art, so that's you trying to focus on something calm, simple, if you can actually, if it's not work music, art, just going for a walk, which is physical as well. And we've got that whole kind of government push to do your 10,000 steps in a day, and that's a reasonable amount. That is a reasonable amount. Walking a dog for an hour is like 6,000. So yeah, in Cornwall, where you jump in a car everywhere, compared to London, where you rush around on your feet, it's a big difference. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. So you were kind of busying yourself a lot
yes.
to avoid the emotions. And then what kind of brought you to a place of, I guess, then focusing and kind of metabolizing them and processing them?
I think as I said, when my husband was going through this kind of thing, he went, right, I need to tick everything off, so I don't have that overwhelming stress. I'm going to tick off all the research to the treatment that I'm going through. I'm going to tick off any kind of mental health that I can understand, be it therapy, be it meditation, as some of the other things that we went through earlier. And then physical health, I want to tick that off. And then I'm going to basically, if I've laid out that plan, this is German head in my view, I'll feel satiated, research that I'm happy with the science and everything. I feel satiated, and I'm going to go make myself happy. And so we'd sneak away over to Indonesia or something, go surfing, or he'd absurdly make me try and climb a mountain in Switzerland or wherever in Germany, and just satisfy himself, be open. And then maybe once in a blue moon, we'd have a little double check that everything was right, that he'd done. And he was still finalizing his German studies as well in geology. So he had a lot on his plate. And yeah.
And for somebody who's perhaps maybe going through surgery or just on their own physical health issues at the moment, how how would you want to encourage someone like that? You know, what signposts would you give them for the journey that they're going on?
I think that be open. It's not different. Be open with anyone that you've got for treatment. They find it normal. It's very different for you, but very normal for them. With your friends and family, crack that pot so that they can just be nice and normal again to you. They know, they don't think there's a shell that they're trying to like. They don't want to crack it themselves. Um,
Mm,
and and then normality kicks in as well. It's literally just pretend
mm,
you're starting cricket or something. You go, just have the same kind of banter about it, and then you can have normal banter as well. I think having it
mm,
as a normality in your world is really strong. Um, and then TED Talks, I loved, absolutely loved it. You see
mm.
so many different scopes to people's different personalities. I've got some really nice ones on the app. Actually, there's this guy in Italy who was running an art store, and he basically got one option given to him by the surgeon, and he had brain cancer as well, hence why I was watching. And he was a famous artist, so he kind of just put a little website together and threw it there, and suddenly had this swamp of input from the public and whatnot. So I'd see that as a therapist or like a friend. um, he managed to open the door, and he just got so much security about the path that he was taking. And for that, I choose something such as PubMed, which is a door that is kind of secret. You can keep it within your own realm or open it to your, as said, friends, family, and acquaintances, or medical officer or whatever. Um, and it just
Mm,
makes you feel like you've done enough. I think that is one of the strongest things. Like, you just don't want to feel like you're missing out on something. And normality is perfect as well. Like, just go as far as you want. Um,
mm.
and if there's anything that you can do for a friend, both ways, is just normal. Just remember you're normal. It's normal. You're normal.
Yes.
Um, and that's the highest hurdle to go over. Yeah. One of the
Mm.
weird things that I did when sick was have a little puppy who sat in the sunshine window in front of me. And puppies,
Oh,
there's so many random little science pieces about how you can maintain your health, but that's meant to be a really good step towards a therapist. You have something to lean on, something to love, where the love stays, if you get what I mean, however much your personality changes. A couple of my friends have done just dog walking, and they are there going, right, no, I'm doing something amazing for someone, and I have this little nugget to just talk at. Go for a walk every week or something, and it's a bonus for everybody, and then you can feel that you've done something. Or even if you're just dog
Mm,
sitting, if you're feeling a bit worse, that's really nice. And just having a tea or just to sit down with someone. Don't feel like
mm.
you have to invite someone over for, I don't know, a snack or something,
Three-course
or a
meal.
walk, or it doesn't have to be a thing. Like, I find that
Mm,
quite nice when you stumble upon someone's house and you just go in and sit down for 10 minutes and then just leave. Nice, normal.
mm,
Everything's
mm.
normal. Everything's normal. It's like a really tough thing
Yes,
to establish. And there's so much
yes.
research and there's so much everything, and yeah.
Mm. And so to kind of bring it to a close, talk a little bit more about your app and your business. So you talk through exactly what the app is and kind of what it offers, and then also just your vision for
I
it.
thought I'd just crack it up on the phone. So if I go, this is Wholesome World as it loads and stuff. Don't know if it's glinting galore from the window, the wedding. There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah. No, we
Window
can see
wedding
it.
just flies out. So that's it, just loading up and stuff. But then once we bounce in, we've got a pile. I'm going to turn this way. I'm going to see a bit more. We've got like recipe of the month. We've got full set of recipes, like breakfasts and drinks, and Christmas is sneaking down there still. But if you go into any of them, you can just pull down diet-wise, and we've got an extra piece just for if you're going through treatment. This is for general health, authorised by the NHS, like a year or two ago now. And if I go Simply Smooth, then it pulls you to all the soups, smoothies, like some satay sauce and stuff like that. Yeah, so you can just bounce around. If I go into one, this is the chocolate shot, nice blended little mousse kind of thing. Then
Nice.
if you go up, you get a full-on scientific insight along with some general banter as to why it's good.
Wow.
And then if you can bounce between the ingredients, where here we've just got nuts and chocolate, which are brilliant, by the way. And then you can go up and go to further scientific
Wow.
sites, or you can just bounce around, see if there's anything that's more yummy that you can actually get this benefit from, and swing through, like add to your shopping list, cooking,
That's just
even
absolutely
nutrition.
gorgeous. It's packed with information.
Yeah.
Really, really
And then
packed.
I think the reason, the little seed as to why it was there, we bounced through ingredients, we know the shopping, we've got Freya info and the lovely contributors that pulled through it with me. In the kind of, I call it a library, we've got my favourites, so you can see a bit of my personality, what I found beneficial. We've got nutritional, physical, and mental. And then we've got medical insight, and then what you can buy for a book if you're just wanting to have some insight as to mental, physical, or nutritional health, let alone cancer. And then we've got lifestyle, research and case history, and it suddenly turns into this library. And if you click on one such
Wow.
as, let's go to PubMed, that scientific site that I was talking about earlier, you will
Yeah.
go read a little bit about it and decide whether or not you want to go to the website. So that will bounce you there. And on a lot
Wow,
of
what a
these,
fantastic resource.
yeah, so on a lot of the platforms, for example, there's some really strong books there, but I've like, we've got that there as to where you can buy the book, or a YouTube little glitch of their insight. Same with the TED Talks and things like that. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
beautiful. It's really, really gorgeous.
So that's the app, and then you can look on the website. There's a good hint towards it all, or like dribble of everything in the diary. And how you can download it.
And where can we find you online? Where can someone find you and all of
So that's
this?
wholesomeworld.com. You can just find everything there, front page, download page. You can get the app, or as I was saying, there's like a Freya page about my whole world that I've been through, and then a lot more less personal pages as well. But in the diary, we've got, as I said, lots of recipes. We've got lots of lifestyle. We've got some collaborations with, let's just say, Riverford, the Eden Project, some lovely therapists, lots of things. And then just nice walks with the dogs and surf camps and
Nice.
stuff like that. Just seeing just
Good.
how odd things can make you happy and how,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, Freya, thank you so much. You're absolutely gorgeous, and your work is it's just so beautiful. I can't wait to. I'm gonna have to on my trip. I'm gonna have to make sure I'm still eating healthy, because I do find traveling and eating healthy is a
Well,
challenge. But
this is one of the things, actually. I'd say, because doing something every day is really tough. And I say, you know how I mentioned granola at the beginning? One batch, boom. You've suddenly ticked off every day, or at least every other day, of being good. You can do
yes.
Nutriballs really quick and easily. Like for the camp, I just made like 3 sets, and they each take 10 minutes. They're so simple. And the simplest one that I did when I was sick is I would have dates. So it's a different type of sugar, because that's one of the main parts of the app, is making it not giving you the release of energy too quickly in a single spike, so that there's leftovers for cancer. It's so that you've got that slow release, so that your body takes it for what your body wants. I should have brought this up earlier. And I love that. So new age carbs, new age, well, I say recent age, processed carbs and sugar. Those are the ones that you want to avoid. So I'm there going, if you have dates, if you have other kind of sugars, then it's actually slow release and you're getting vitamins within there as well. So with the dates, I just literally do a little slice, whack a walnut in, put a couple in a tiny Tupperware, and I'd be like, oh God, I haven't eaten, because as I said, I'd forgot whilst I was in a tube going to chemo or something, and I'd be like, oh, have one of those, and it really piles you up.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's like
I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that for my
yeah,
trip.
that's a really, really good thing. And there are so many more like that. And that is something that's really nice as well to do for your friend if they are in hospital or if they are stuck in the house and they're too tired to make the food. Just do a big vat of soup and you can chuck half of it in the freezer until they actually fancy that flavour again. Stuff like that. And you can use frozen vegetables, so it's nice and cheap. Organic is better, but within the blog, we've got things as in which organic is worth it if you haven't got that much more money to spend on it. And being local, because there's actually a little bacteria telling it what your body is like as well. There's so many little aspects that help, but just simple. Take away all the new age refined white elements, which is sugar and flour. And that helps with general health as well. Same thing.
Yes.
Life is life.
Thank you, Freya. Thank you so much. So much good information there. So if you were to give somebody one more piece of just encouragement, or if you had one more thing in your heart that you wanted to share, what would it be?
I have to say that smiling brings out the good endorphins. So smile, be happy, and share it.
Thank you, darling. Oh, so good to have you. Thank you for sharing all of that and your story. I know it's where there's hurt and loss. It's not always easy to share. So thank you for sharing.
More than pleasure. Lots of love to everyone.